Did you know that World War I was fought primarily by three cousins who grew up together but found themselves on opposite sides of mankind's first global war? Stay till the end of the video to find out more. Prior to World War I, also known as the Great War, military combat had always been fought locally and usually between two competing nations. World War I was the first global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. The war involved the majority of the world's nations, including all of the great powers, and it is considered one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, with an estimated 9 million military personnel and 7 million civilian deaths.
It's time for minute distinctions.
First, let's get a little background and set the stage. Europe was made up of fewer larger countries, and those larger countries were all in competition for each other's land, and also competing to amass a larger military than their neighbors. So it is safe to say that tensions had been on the rise for some time between these European powers. In addition to fewer larger countries trying to encroach and out-militarize each other, there were issues that plagued larger nations. Some unhappy citizens were trying to break off and form their own country. One of these few powerful empires was Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary didn't like their neighbors, the Serbians, bringing Serbian nationalism to Austria-Hungary out of fear that it would influence and encourage some of their citizens to break off and form their own country. You see, Serbia was mostly ethnically Slavic, and Austria-Hungary had a large Slavic population, and some Slavs dreamed of their people united under one nation. In Serbia, there was a small, secret society called the Black Hand, whose goal was to do exactly this. So they sent one member of their group to travel to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was next in line to the throne of Austria-Hungary, since that group saw the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy as a roadblock to their utopian Slavic nation. Austria-Hungary could have asked Serbia to hand over the Black Hand members since they planned and carried out the assassination, not the Serbian government. But instead, Austria-Hungary saw this as an opportunity to stop those pesky ethnically Slavic Serbians from influencing the ethnically Slavic Austria-Hungarians and trying to motivate them to break away and start a new country with them. The war began on July 28, 1914, when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Prior to this war declaration, Germany made it clear that it had Austria-Hungary's back, whereas Russia made it clear that it was Team Serbia. So within a week, Germany, friend of Austria-Hungary, had declared war on Russia since they had an alliance with Serbia. Within a month, France, Britain, and some other smaller nations had joined the conflict on the side of the Allies. Basically, everyone just kept declaring war on each other as a show of strength so that war could potentially be avoided. The fighting in World War I took place on several fronts, including the Western Front, the Eastern Front, and the Middle Eastern Front. The Western Front, which was the main theater of the war, saw some of the most intense and deadly fighting of the conflict. It was characterized by trench warfare, in which soldiers on both sides fought from a series of trenches that ran across Belgium and France. The Eastern Front was also a major theater of the war, with fighting taking place in Eastern Europe and Russia. The Middle Eastern Front saw fighting in the Balkans, the Caucasus, and the Middle East. In addition to fighting on land, there was also a significant naval component to the war. The major naval powers, including Britain, Germany, and the United States, engaged in a series of battles on the high seas. The Allies won World War I due to their superior military and economic resources, which allowed them to outlast and outmaneuver the Central Powers, which consisted of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, who had since joined the war. Another major factor in the Allies' victory was the entry of the United States into the war in 1917. This was a major turning point in the conflict. The United States had a large and powerful military, and its joining the war tipped the balance in favor of the Allies. The United States also provided the Allies with much-needed economic support, and its industrial capacity was instrumental in helping the Allies to win the war. The war had a significant impact on the world, and it marked the end of the old order in Europe. The major powers that had dominated the continent for centuries, such as Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, were dismantled and new states were formed in their wake. The war also led to the collapse of the Russian monarchy and the emergence of the Soviet Union. The Treaty of Versailles, which was signed in 1919, officially ended the war and imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including reparations and territorial losses. The treaty was clearly meant to humiliate and punish Germany for their role in the war. This fact, along with the economic hardships of the post-war period, added enough fuel to the fire to make for fertile soil in Germany and Italy and allow for the rise of fascism. And tragically, these ideologies played a major role in the outbreak of World War II just a few decades later. Do you ever have the sinking feeling that the world is being run by a small select group of ultra-powerful individuals and the rest of us are just pawns at best? Well, this may not fit all of the criteria for a conspiracy that vast, but it is food for thought, to say the least. If you don't know much about Queen Victoria, consider checking out our video on her. For now, it suffices to say that she was so powerful and influential that the entire period of European history is named after her. From her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, you can find at least 10 rulers of European nations. She was even nicknamed the Grandmother of Europe, and you thought your family get-togethers were filled with drama. Her three grandsons were none other than King George V of the UK, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, not to mention the King of Spain, Norway, Greece, and others. The three cousins grew up and played together. Obviously, finding yourself at war with your cousin can put a damper on even the best of relationships, as must have been the case when Wilhelm II was at war with his cousins George V, Nicholas II, and Ferdinand I. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, and if you're feeling extra altruistic, subscribe to get more great content. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up anyway, because why not? The world could always use more general acts of kindness. Till next time.